Well, we're on the air. Well, how does Ken do this? Hello and welcome to the Movie Boozer episode 107. Ken Ekman is absent today, so I'm stepping in as host, Bill Leon, and I'm joined by the usual panel of Bill Arsenault and Hawk Ripjaw.
Hey.
And we didn't. How do I phrase this? There was only one new movie out of the 2 weeks we've been gone that anyone saw, and it was Hawk. It was Focus. So I get it'd be good to lead off with that, probably.
Yeah, in case I have to leave.
Well, for starters,
I,
we don't have a beer to talk about, right?
No.
no,
Okay.
we don't.
All right.
I went into Focus expecting to not like it very much, but I ended up being really pleasantly surprised. It's kind of fun. It's from the directors of I Love You, Philip Morris, and it is a con movie in the same way.
Have they done a movie since then?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's a lot of fun. It's a con movie, and it's got this kind of it's a drama, but definitely got elements of comedy. It's kind of a caper. One thing that struck me is the entire movie is like its own sort of long con. Like it keeps getting you with a bait and switch. Even I was really satisfied that the movie did not go down the path of a plot twist that I was expecting it to. I was fully expecting, like the girl to be, throughout the whole movie conning him in one huge way, like in Matchstick Men. But they didn't actually go there, so I was really excited for that. It was something completely different.
So instead of it being like a movie like Now You See Me, it was more like The Prestige.
Yeah, not as good as The Prestige.
Not as good, but like in terms of the narrative itself being a con, kind of.
Yeah, definitely. It's doesn't play all its cards, and the plot twist is definitely not one of those. I like Now You See Me quite a bit, but the plot twist at the end of that was so out there just for the sake of being something that no one could fucking guess, like in their right mind. Whereas this one, like somebody might be able to call it, but it got me. And it's just like every few scenes, there's like another like the film pulls another fast one on you. So maybe like in a week or so, I can talk about what some of them were. But there were definitely some fun ones. And even the directing and the cinematography is kind of messes with you sometimes. It's really weird. I don't know if it was intentional. It probably was. But you see a window outside, and you see the girl coming in. She's walking, and then the camera pans over, and it was actually a reflection, and some other girl is walking out from behind the mirror, and it's in perfect sync. So it's almost like you're like, well, it wasn't really her. It was her. She's actually standing over here. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
It does.
No,
Yeah,
I mean, it depends.
I get it.
Well, I would say no, but it depends on how you present it. Because really, yeah, like
Well, what do you think they were trying to express there? Were they just trying to play with you visually, or were they
Yeah.
trying to say like she's a shadow of something, or something?
No, none of that. She's actually the character herself was actually pretty shallow. It's just
Okay.
yeah.
damn, Margot Robbie's getting pigeonholed into these shallow roles.
Yeah, she's not, she actually does a pretty good job in this role. I mean, her character is shallow, but the acting is solid. Um, so I liked her. It's just some of those things are just the directors are just messing with you visually and kind of having fun with what they're doing. There's also a lot, believe it or not, of stuff out of focus, snapping into focus,
No.
which
Yeah.
was kind of I was like, I see what you did there. Um, and then it's one of the other things I liked is that it doesn't feed you everything. So like Ocean's 11, they get away with it and they go back and show you how it went. Whereas in Focus, you see everything as it's happening, and then you realize that everything was not really quite what you thought it was.
Okay.
So, and Bill Leon mentioned in the Facebook chat like some of the dialogue, and yes, the dialogue is not very good. Some of it gets very cheesy. Some of it is kind of hammy. Like especially in the first half, is like, okay, I don't know about this. And then the movie kind of grabbed me by the second act, and I really got into it.
My thing with the dialogue is that the dialogue they chose to put in that trailer was obviously from a script.
The script is a little bit smug.
Hmm.
Most of the fun of this movie is with how the directors execute the material.
Hmm.
Okay.
Um, so I don't know. I enjoyed it. I'll probably at least rent it and watch it a second time when it's on Blu-ray just to see kind of some of the other visual stuff they did. And it's one of those ones where when you hear the twist, you kind of like go back and you think about a couple of things too, like why this happened here. And I don't know. It's I had a lot of fun with it,
Hmm.
which shocked me because I really was not expecting to.
Let me ask you, how prominent is the setting of New Orleans in this movie?
It's fairly prominent. It only factors into the first half, though.
Okay, so but they're not doing stupid shit like eating jambalaya or red beans and rice and going to Mardi Gras parties all the time and stuff like that.
No, there is one Mardi Gras scene though.
Okay, well
And
that's fine. But,
it's funny because Will Smith actually his character runs this whole ring, and there's like 50 of them that work together. So they're like all spread out throughout this Mardi Gras crowd, and you know, one guy bumps into somebody, the second one takes the person's phone out of their pocket, and then drops it into a third guy who's walking past with his hat on, and he puts the hat on and keeps walking with the phone in his hat now. And there's like all this really fun, like very quickly coordinated things that they're all doing, working together. It's very entertaining just to watch all that go down as well.
that's kind of funny. They go through all this complicated choreography just to steal a guy's cell phone.
Yeah, it's funny.
Is it just a regular cell phone? Is there something special about the cell phone?
Oh no, they're just there's a line where Will Smith is like, so you're asking if we do the big game and then retire and then the whole rest of our lives is blowjobs and boobies.
See
And
that's a good example of like really contrived dialogue that you would find in like a heist con type of movie.
and it's almost like the dialogue is so like overblown that it almost feels like this movie is kind of poking fun at that
Hmm.
because he immediately follows that line with, well, that's a fantasy, that doesn't happen.
Hmm.
Because like that's we play it safe by doing smaller jobs.
I will
So,
say Will Smith is good at delivering that kind of dialogue.
mhm.
I can't even think of anything specifically, but just like, that setup and of like this and this and this, but no. He's good at delivering that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
where he's not good at delivering lines is when he's supposed to be playing something stoic, like After Earth.
I was gonna say like after.
As much as
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed After Earth, he was not very good in that movie.
Mhm.
No, not at all.
The whole time is just, you have to go out and get us. That
Yeah, but I
stuff,
mean,
yeah.
versus I am not a coward. I am not a coward. Oh, okay, cool. Good for you, son.
Yeah, good. You're not a coward. All right.
But speaking of the Smith family, I think that's really the big draw of this movie is it's Will Smith's kind of comeback after Earth,
Yeah.
which a lot of people forget that he was in Winter's Tale, but that's another story.
Oh yeah.
How is
Forgot
Will
about that.
Smith in this movie?
I'm gonna see if I can get my modem back up because I've already chewed through about 300 megabytes of data
Damn.
Ouch.
here in a
All
second.
right. Well,
Anyway.
we'll
Uh,
continue the conversation without you if you want.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of other thoughts. You can do that after before
Oh,
I do this,
okay.
I just want to do my couple extra thoughts. Is just that,
What would you think of Will Smith overall in the movie?
he's fine, yeah. Nothing wrong with him there. He has some good lines. He, has that charisma.
Hmm.
I really want to talk about this big con in the middle of the movie that I just,
Uh-oh.
I thought that was me. Oh well, okay. So Focus. Chris liked it. I don't know if I would ever.
Let's try to keep this train going.
I don't know if I would ever watch Focus.
I was confused by Focus. I wrote on Twitter, was Focus released by Focus Features? Or did I make that up? Like I think I made that up, but
Probably.
I really had no interest in seeing this movie, despite it being set and filmed in New Orleans.
Hmm.
It just wasn't something that it was kind of like Now You See Me. Like
Mhm.
I didn't have any interest in seeing that either. I saw it, but I had no interest in seeing it. It's just I don't know. Con movies and me, I don't really. I don't know.
Is there one? I mean, okay.
There are some.
Usual Suspects, I love. I could watch that movie an infinite amount of times. But that's a movie that has really kind of crafted characters and original punchy dialogue to it. In fact, that movie kind of launched a resurgence of these kind of heist con movies.
Sure. There's also Dirty Rotten Rules, which I'm a big fan of.
Yes, I've actually seen that movie. It's funny.
There's Matchstick Men with Nicolas Cage. I love that film, which Hawk brought up a little while ago. Who should be back on the podcast soon, hopefully, if his modem works. But Focus. I don't know. After The Gambler came out, like a couple months ago, this just kind of seemed to me like almost a repeat, but with the Superdome in the background. You know what I mean? Oh, okay, they're going to do a football game and they're going to con people or something.
I didn't see The Gambler.
I'm all in.
My complaints with Focus, like I said, is really where the way the trailer is presented. There are so many like scripty moments to it where it's like this would only happen in a movie script. He has a line where he's like, "There's two kinds of people in this world: hammers and nails." I'm like, what person in the world not only makes that kind of analogy, but tries to put everybody into two little boxes?
Well, I think most people do try to put people into boxes like that.
Hammer and nails, though, that's.
Well, I know that is contrived, but I mean, you could argue most people are kind of contrived in real life.
That is true, but I mean, maybe Will Smith's character is supposed to be like super corny.
But the problem is that when you're presenting a lead character in a movie like this, especially Will Smith, where he's supposed to be like charismatic and witty and all that stuff, he's not supposed to say shit like that. He's supposed to be much more intelligent than that.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't work. In real life, you might have a dumbass coworker who says something like that. "I'm a hammer, you're a nail," but we both work at Walmart, so it's like it doesn't matter. But Will Smith saying it doesn't really match because he's not a Walmart guy. So, you know. Oh, Hawk's back.
Hey!
Okay, we'll see if this works.
Well,
now that I've hit my mobile data cap in about 10 minutes.
If you want to throw
we'll see if this holds out.
we were just finishing up talking about Focus. Yeah, lay on your final thoughts.
So yeah, and if you guys aren't planning on seeing it, and people who don't care about spoilers, I can tell you about this scene in the middle. But if you're planning on seeing it, I'll hold off here.
I am not. If I do see this, it will be for two reasons. For Will Smith's charisma, and because I keep hearing that this is a very style over substance movie. And it depends on the movie, but I can get with style over substance. But yeah, if you want to go into spoilers, I have no gripes.
Yeah, I'm fine with spoilers.
If you don't want spoilers for Focus, skip ahead in the video, maybe 1 or 2 minutes. I don't know.
Yeah, a couple more minutes. Do you care, Billy?
No, I don't. Go for it.
Okay, so he's up in he's watching football with Margot Robbie, and they're placing like fun little bets, like, oh, I bet you $5 that that guy's not gonna be able to toss the hot dog to that guy, and then they keep placing bets, and then this other
hot dog.
They're placing so they're placing stupid bets on concessions.
The concession stand, yeah. You never bet on that?
Just like a dumb little bet here and there for fun. This other guy jumps in and they do like bigger bets until eventually the other guy's like, I'll bet you $5,000 that they won't make this kick. And Will Smith keeps losing. You see he's getting agitated. And earlier in the film, his friend is like, they had all their taking, like the entire team's take from their last job, and he said, do not gamble with this, please.
I'm having
And,
all
you
these
know,
ideas on how
eventually,
to
like,
make this movie worse, just based on what you're saying. Because you could have it set up like in the beginning, like, oh yeah, he hates to lose, and then it'd be like him losing, getting angry.
well, that's part of what makes this scene work. You can see he's getting upset and a gambling problem, and then eventually he's dumping all $1.5 million on the table, and the other guy bets all his money too, and then he loses it all again. Then they do double or nothing, and he loses again, and then he's like, okay, one more,
Okay,
One more.
one more. He says, look at any guy out on the field, and I'll guess what his jersey number is. And this whole scene is like really tense with the way they're drawing it out and the way that they're timing it. And he has the girl guess the number, and she's like looking through she's looking through the binoculars after the guy has said, "I've got one," and then all of a sudden she sees down there one of the guys in Will Smith's crew.
Is the number 69,
Talking
dude?
against, he's like 55. The entire thing from the second the guy said don't gamble with this, they were setting up Margot Robbie to be really upset when Will Smith kept gambling, so that it would look convincing when she guessed that guy that was in Will Smith's crew. And the whole point of that entire sequence was to double the amount of money they had in the first place by betting it all against this guy on this one bet. And the reason that he picked number 55, the guy that was down in the field and who is secretly part of Will Smith's crew, is that from the moment this other guy entered the hotel, they were priming him by, they had posters up that had the letter 55 on it, the number 55. Like, people would walk past saying 55, and they played what's that song? I can't remember what the song it was, but in Mandarin, the sound that's sung in the song is the number 55 in Mandarin. So they were like priming this guy to fixate on 55 and like think of like that was the one he wanted to go with.
I thought you were going to reference I Drive 55 by Sammy Hagar.
No. But no, it was just really cool because that was one of the ways the movie messes with you, is that I was really worried that this was going to be a movie about Will Smith's gambling addiction. But that from the sentence that he said, "Don't gamble with this," all the way to the end of that scene, that was the whole point. Was just another con on this other guy that was in the box with them.
It wasn't a gamble; it was a sure thing.
It was. So stuff like that. So I got a kick out of it, and the tension in that scene was done really well. I think it was really only the first 20 or 30 minutes of the movie weren't very good. I was kind of not impressed at all. And then once like they start going about their cons and doing stuff, then the movie is just one bait and switch after another, and it's a lot of fun to just go along with it.
Mm-hmm.
So
if I have the opportunity, based on your enthusiasm, I'll give it a chance.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
Now, if you hadn't seen it and I hadn't heard a word of it, I probably would never have given this movie a second thought.
I was going to see it on Sunday, then I was like, I don't feel like it. And then today, I was like, I guess I'll go see it just so I can have something to talk about on the podcast. Mm-hmm. What the hell? And then I ended up getting sucked into it. So I'm glad that I kind of just, reluctantly did it and saw it. So. So last week we didn't talk, since we didn't get together. I wanted to kind of also mention that I saw Hot Tub Time Machine 2.
Oh, okay.
That was disappointing. It's man, it was disappointing.
Did you see? Have you seen Horrible Bosses 2?
Yes.
I want to know. Well, was this better or worse?
This was worse.
Really? Okay, because I didn't hate Horrible Bosses 2. A lot of people just despise that movie. I put it on, like, I came home kind of drunk one night and just put it on and got a kick out of it, because really I had, like, no expectations for it, so.
Horrible Bosses. Good.
I was just saying, as for something I just put on at home, when I was a little fucked up, I had a good time with it, but, it was no Horrible Bosses 1.
Horrible Bosses 2, I actually laughed pretty hard in the opening scene where they're demoing the shower daddy. And
They do that Austin Powers shit though. I didn't.
It's a shower buddy. Yeah, shower buddy, where he's trying to fix the thing, and it looks like he's sucking the guy's dick. I know they did it in Austin Powers, but it's still a gag that works.
It does
so
it.
Stupid.
I mean, like it's not that it never works. I didn't think it worked there personally. It wasn't anything that made me want to tear my hair out or anything like that. But I remember just being like, oh, you're going for the spy who shagged me joke.
Well, I mean, yeah. So, Horrible Bosses 2 at least worked on some level because everybody who was in it, at least they looked like they wanted to be there and they were kind of having fun.
Well, also, I will say about Horrible Bosses 2, I've said this before, but Chris Pine, I liked him. I thought he was trying his ass off.
Yeah, that was good, and then it kind of fell apart towards the end.
Yeah.
And Hot Tub Time Machine 2, the only person that appears to give a shit is Rob Corddry.
Mm-hmm. You kind of get that from the trailers. What about Craig Robinson singing "Stay" by Lisa Loeb? That's pretty funny.
No, it wasn't very funny in the movie.
He looks like, in that shot of him, like looking at the camera and singing, he looks like he's about to rape someone.
There's a lot of
what?
I'm not sure about that. But
he does.
I don't want to speculate. I don't want to speculate on Bill Leon's past history, but yeah. Anyway, go ahead, Hawk.
So, Hot Tub Time Machine 2 is just disappointing. One of the big problems was that it recycled a lot of stuff from the original movie, as far joke-wise.
And yet, still no Crispin Glover.
No Crispin Glover, no John Cusack.
Well, I can live with that.
Chevy Chase is in it for a very brief moment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, wasn't part of the draw?
I don't know. It was just it just felt so.
What were you saying, Bill?
Oh, I'm sorry. Wasn't part of the draw of the first movie John Cusack and the fact that they were going back to the 80s and doing a ski movie that he kind of did before in real life?
I think yes and no. I mean, really, I think they could have gotten anyone from the 80s to play John Cusack's part, and it wouldn't have made a difference. It's just the fact that it happened to be John Cusack, and he was a teen star in the 80s. Because really, they could have gotten any Baldwin, they could have gotten Michael Biehn, they could have gotten anybody to play that fucking part, and it wouldn't have made a difference.
Michael Biehn.
Did I pronounce that right? Kyle?
No, yeah, I know who you're talking about, yeah.
They could have gotten anybody from the 80s. It didn't matter who. Which is why I was not sad to see him go for the sequel.
No, it doesn't work without him because in the original one, you have John Cusack being like the straight man, and the other three being like the weird comedy ones. You take out the straight one, all you have is three comedic ones bouncing off of each other, which just it just feels like it's in a vacuum and nothing is really kind of working very well there. The only parts that really got me laughing in the second one were those "you look like" jokes they used a lot in the original one, because it's very obvious when the actors are improvising because the script is so terrible.
Right.
When it lets them just improvise, it gets really funny. When they go into the future, they find out that Clark Duke's character is actually the rich one who owns the mansion. And there's a picture of him wearing like short pants with a pet tiger, and this mural on the wall, and one of the "you look like" is like, "You look like a pedophile dressed you," and it's just like stuff like that. Or like, "You look like Lex Luthor's," I can't remember what he said, or in the trailers, like, "You look like Billy Zane's dick."
Now I can't speak for Rob Corddry, or not Rob Corddry. I can't speak for Clark Duke and Craig Robinson, but Rob Corddry is a master of improv. I think Children's Hospital is mostly improv.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right too. Like all three of them well, Clark Duke doesn't improv quite on the level of the other two, but they all do pretty well. But again, you're right. I mean, Rob Corddry takes out of the park. There's a horrible scene a little ways towards the end, or 2/3 of the way through the movie, where they go to a game show called the Celebrity Choosy Doozy, and the audience votes on what a certain celebrity will do, and since he used to be a singer, they bring up Craig Robinson's character, because in the past timeline he had stolen all these songs and he's now super rich, but now he's washed out. And the audience gives examples. So someone yells, eat a stack of waffles, and then Rob Corddry yells, fuck a dude. And then the audience votes on which one they want the most. And then fuck a dude wins. And then the host, played by Christian Slater, is like, well, you know the rules, guys. You
Christian
choose it,
Slater?
you choose it. Yep. So since Rob Corddry suggested it, he has to go up, and they have to go into this virtual reality machine and have sex with each other. And it's such an awful scene. And then Rob Corddry sees a lifeline floating in the air, so he grabs it, and you get to pass the doozy off to somebody else. So he, of course, gives it to what's his face from Parks and Recreation,
Adam Scott.
So Adam Scott, yeah. Then Craig Robinson has to bang Adam Scott.
How is Adam Scott in this movie? Because that's the thing, is taking out John Cusack.
He's okay, I guess.
Putting in Adam Scott, I felt like that would be a good decision, but not from what I'm hearing.
He doesn't do much.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't do very much. The only part that he was in that I laughed at is when he's with his fiancée and they have this really gross like affection for each other, where they're like, I can't remember what they're saying. They're like, "I love you," and they're like kissing each other in between each word, and this goes on for like 20 seconds, just because of how like sappy it was kind of funny. But the whole movie just feels like one big missed opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
I was really disappointed. I guess if there's one positive thing you could say about this is that, as people have been speculating, the scene where Rob Corddry wearing a Patriot uniform jumps out of the hot tub, that is the final scene in the movie. And the end credit sequence is them like going throughout time, like stopping the assassination of Abraham Lincoln and that kind of stuff. So what that means to me is that there probably won't be a third one. So I'm okay with that.
Right. It doesn't seem like there needs.
This feels like one of those movies that this feels like if Dumb and Dumberer was made with the same people. Like everything about this movie, like on kind of the writing and execution level, feels like a shitty direct-to-DVD sequel with an entirely different crew, except that it has the same crew.
Which is worse.
Which is worse because it feels like just a desperate knockoff.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
They don't go back to the 80s again, do they?
So, but I mean, what can you do? Except,
do they ever go back to the 80s?
No.
Oh, okay, that's good. Well, I mean, at least there's that, because that would have been just bottom of the barrel.
I don't know.
Yeah,
based on Hawk's description, I would say this movie is bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, but at least like they tried to do something different by taking them to the future or to different time periods. It's not just the same thing.
And having sex in a virtual reality system.
That's weird. And that's another thing is like these buddy comedies, these bro comedies are like, with every passing year, like they just get more and more gay, or rather, they're just trying to force these characters into gay situations.
Yeah. Well, what was that movie with?
Does that a lot too.
What was that movie with Mark Duplass, Hump Day or something? Yeah, it was a movie where he and his best friend, in order to fix their financial situation, agreed to make a porno with each other.
Yeah.
Never seen that. Did that get a theatrical release, or was that straight to video?
I think that was an independent film. I think it got a film festival run, and then
it was. Yeah. Roger Ebert loved that movie.
All right.
He thought it was fantastic. Of course, Roger Ebert also loved The Happening and The Golden Compass. So.
And Lakeview Terrace.
And Lakeview Terrace.
Bless his heart.
Bless his heart.
I love Lakeview Terrace, but probably not for the same reasons as Roger Ebert.
I liked it for Samuel Jackson. That was it.
Yeah, I just think he liked it for the same reasons as Roger Ebert.
I would love to just stop and talk about Lakeview Terrace, but as tempting as that is.
Well, I mean, maybe we should talk about Lakeview Terrace. I can't think of anything else to talk about.
There's not
I have
much.
a couple things.
Yeah, we got stuff we can talk about, but
okay.
I was poking around on Metacritic, and I was kind of surprised. Have you guys seen the score for Chappie?
No, but I just recently saw people are dumping on it.
It had a 34 on Metacritic.
Mm-hmm.
Ouch.
Yeah, the reviews are in.
That's the average score. I mean, it's only like It's only 6 reviews so far, but I was really shocked because even Elysium got pretty good reviews.
6 reviews in, and it's already at.
And I liked Elysium.
Yeah, Elysium was fine. Although Neil Blomkamp has come out and said he made some problems, like he made some mistakes with Elysium, with the screenplay. He claims
he
that
he fucked up and he would have done it differently.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you guys excited about Chappie? Because that trailer doesn't do shit for me.
I'm seeing it tomorrow night.
I like the scene where he's watching He-Man on TV. Other than that, I don't even know what, like, I hate
what kills me is Hugh Jackman playing a cartoonish villain.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell from the trailer that's what they're going for. For example, there's that bit where he's presenting his invention, his super machine that's going to be like a drone, and everyone's laughing at him like, that's never going to fly. We're not going to put money into this piece of shit. And then they cut to his reaction, and he's like,
yeah.
And then there's another scene. There's another scene where Chappie's already alive and everything, and he's poking out behind from the corner of a building.
I love that shot. That is so funny. I didn't know he was supposed to be the villain. I just thought he was like some guy that was obsessed with Chappie.
He's he's the main villain. That's funny. But I think at the same time, Neil Blomkamp is not really anyone who is known for his subtlety.
Right.
No.
I mean, District 9 is a good movie, but the one thing that always bugged me about that is that is a movie about racism and segregation that does not even bother to conceal itself of that fact.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't think movies necessarily have to conceal what its message is. You know, I will defend the movie Crash up and down.
Okay.
I know a lot of people don't like Crash because it's very. They'll argue it's very obvious. It's very tone deaf in terms of, and not subtle, you know. But I don't think that's necessarily a problem for a movie. I acknowledge the movie is a little like that, but I don't think that's necessarily a problem. I think that can go along with what the movie's trying to accomplish. But yeah, it's almost like the lack of subtlety is ramping up with each movie Neil Blomkamp does. Mm-hmm. District 9, you could argue, had some subtlety in it that was a little bit by comparison to Elysium. Mm-hmm. By Elysium, it was full-blown class warfare and healthcare reform, and and that was just in your face, you know. And now it's. Well, what's the issue now? Like,
I don't know. I was thinking about that. I don't think there is like a major social thing.
Did he just he just really liked the movie Short Circuit?
That's possible.
Yeah.
Maybe he always had this movie as an idea, you know, in his head from when he was a kid. Like, I want to do a movie about a robot who's like a teenager, you know, and maybe now he has the ability to get funding for it. So.
I'll see it. I still think it looks good. I think Blomkamp is a good director. It's got a 20% on Rotten Tomatoes. Let's see what some people are saying about this.
I wonder if the reviews are going to go down in subtlety. Like, it's going to start witty, but then the reviews are going to get like less and less. You know what I mean? Like, first it's going to be like, Chappie is a movie about da-da-da-da, and then the next review's like, fuck this movie.
Well, one person called it a bucket of bolts.
Okay, that's like a Gene Shalit type thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not quite, but almost.
I really like Charles Copley, so I'll see it just for his performance.
Oh yeah, he plays Chappie, doesn't he?
But yeah, he's Chappie, so that'll be kind of cool, I think. And it definitely, like, on a visual level, looks fantastic. So I'll definitely check it out.
Am I the only one getting tired of Neil Blomkamp's movies taking place in a dystopic, run-down-looking shack village?
Well, he is making Aliens next.
So that probably will be too.
Right. Like the aliens are on Earth. Yeah. Okay.
Aliens 5, Third World.
I did. I did just see the first two Alien movies over the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, those are pretty good.
Never seen them before. Just sat down and took the plunge. Actually had a little discussion with Bill Arsenault about Ridley Scott and his infamous director's cuts, because I had the director's cut of Alien, and then the movie by nature is kind of long and drawn out at parts. But I started wondering, like, is this just because I'm watching the director's cut? I don't know. I don't know what the differences are between the cuts, but apparently the theatrical cut is only a minute shorter. So that's weird to me. And Ridley Scott has done that before, though, too. I think his director's cut of Blade Runner is actually shorter than the theatrical version of the movie.
Yeah, that is kind of, well, not necessarily that odd. Maybe the producers took the theatrical cut and were like, okay, let's add a couple things because we want that money. Mm-hmm. And then Ridley was like, no, it really needs to be tightened in a few places. Mm-hmm. So, so that's not too weird, but it does feel a little odd, because normally when you hear director's cut, you think extended cut. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so how did you like those two Alien movies?
I really enjoyed them. Like I said, I was kind of getting antsy and bored during the first one, but the thing that really keeps your attention is the cast, mainly Harry Dean Stanton, John Hurt, Sigourney Weaver. The whole first half of the movie before the alien actually shows up is just sort of their routine shit that they do on this the ship. And I was kind of getting a little impatient during that. That's just me. But once it actually got going, it's just fucking great special effects, great tension, great suspense. The cinematography and the set designs, oh my god, that's what really fucking makes that movie, in my opinion, is just some of those sets are amazing looking. Have you guys seen the first Alien?
I've only ever seen Alien Resurrection, honestly. Which I feel I feel bad about, because I had to kind of piece together the lineage of the mythology of the movies when I saw the fourth Alien. I was like, okay, so who is Ripley? Why is she a clone?
So the first Alien Resurrection retcons a lot of stuff. Really, I think Alien 3 also retcons a lot of stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah,
it's the movies are really cool because and not 1 and 2 because they're so different. The first Alien is a slow-burning horror film directed by Ridley Scott. James Cameron directed Aliens, the sequel, and it's an action movie.
And actually, as I'm watching Aliens, I'm seeing tons of influence on Terminator 2, which came out afterwards.
Yeah. So I thought that was really cool. I mean, it's definitely worth watching both of those, Bill.
Both of them, yeah. They're both.
You haven't seen them.
As a double feature, they're fantastic. Like I said, the first Alien is a little bit of a slow burn in its first half, but once it gets going, once it actually completely has your attention, it won't let it go.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we have the movies lying around somewhere. Here, so,
okay. Yeah, you should. I'm guilty too. I've just seen them now for the first time, so I waited God knows how long to actually check them out. But now that I have, I'm glad I did.
You were saying something about the trailer for Lazarus Effect, Bill.
Yeah, I was. What about it?
Oh, well, I don't know. You tell me. What about it?
Well, all right. Yeah, we could talk some Lazarus Effect. It was so bizarre to have this trailer presented, and you have Mark Duplass and Donald Glover, and what's Quicksilver's name? Aaron Peters or something?
Yeah.
Evan Peters.
Evan Peters. Most of these guys I've seen in comedies.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, most of them. Evan Peters, he was in Kick-Ass. He was in I'm confusing him with young Neil from Scott Pilgrim now, but none of these guys I associate with shitty thriller horror movies. And that's the only thing that they have in that trailer is look at this shitty thriller horror movie. We don't have anything else. Take it.
And look at the actors.
The thing that annoys me is that pretty much every single death is spoiled in the trailer.
Really?
Yes.
There's only 5 characters in the movie, and
Mhm.
you see 3 or 4 of them die.
Yeah, they got to give you some action.
If I were to watch Lazarus Effect, it would be for the laughs, but I'm really worried. Like, how many laughs would I get out of it? Not that many, probably.
Probably not very many because it takes itself pretty seriously.
Mhm.
It's it's got a 13%.
I only
Rotten
have so
Tomatoes?
many. I only have so many League and Childish Gambino jokes I can make.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
you
I
can
was
make
going to
an
see this
Olivia
one
Wilde
just to see
was
it, but then
naked
I was
joke.
like, you know what, it's not worth 2 hours of my time.
Yeah.
People are shitting on it. It's getting
What about
terrible
the,
I don't
reviews.
know.
Oh.
Did you guys see speaking of trailers, did you see the new Avengers trailer?
Not yet. I'm not 100% sure
Yes.
I've seen the second one.
There's a new one that
Well,
they dropped
the
this
second
morning.
trailer is pretty much the same. Yeah, they just dropped a new one, and it has new footage and kind of a new flow to it. I would highly recommend you check it out.
If you don't want things spoiled for you, I mean, it's not like there's a little bit of spoilage, but it pretty much just answers what people have been suspecting since the first trailer. But it definitely increased my anticipation
Mhm.
for the movie because it's just an awesome action-packed trailer.
Mhm. Well, speaking of that, actually,
There's some really badass shots too.
speaking on spoilers and trailers, do you guys remember when The Dark Knight Rises came out and it was like every week they were like, here's a scene, here's a new trailer, here's a teaser, here's another scene? They were dropping so much when Dark Knight Rises came out that I was like, what are you going to fucking upload the whole movie tomorrow?
Well, it's not much different than it's actually that's I think Amazing Spider-Man was worse.
Ooh, I didn't.
Yeah.
I wasn't on that train.
But Marvel does the same thing for all their movies. Like this is like trailer 3 now, and they've had about 17 different TV spots, and
Hmm.
you know, it's. But I don't know, like I don't know if I just like to resist hype on principle, but this new trailer is pretty cool.
I'll say this: I was very resistant to the hype around the first Avengers, and I just kind of went to see it on a whim, and I ended up having a blast.
Oh
Yeah,
it's a great movie.
It really is. This new trailer makes it seem like this is going to be the Empire Strikes Back of the Avengers movies.
Which,
Yeah.
well,
it
for
does.
Avengers, yeah, I don't know how the fuck like. It's so weird to think that like there's going to be other storylines in between Avengers 2 and 3 now, because you got like not only Captain America Civil War, I hear they're going to do Iron Man Civil War as a separate movie. So, and then Black Panther and Ant-Man and all these people that they're going to have to work into Avengers 3.
I haven't heard anything about Iron Man Civil War. I know Iron Man's going to be in Captain America Civil War.
Right. Well, they did confirm Iron Man 4, and the speculation on that is that it's going to be a sequel to Captain America Civil War.
That sounds really confusing to me.
Yeah.
like I can imagine me putting these movies up on my DVD rack, trying to go, okay, where does this one fit? Where does this one go? You know?
It's like you've got all 5 Rocky movies, and you got Rocky Balboa. It's like, what is this, the first one?
And then you're trying to watch all the Iron. You just had to have an Iron Man marathon, and then Iron Man 4 is like, well, remember that time when they made us all register? And like, wait, when the fuck did that happen?
Well, technically speaking of that, Iron Man 3 doesn't entirely work without the Avengers, so.
Yeah, but they kind of fill you in on it.
They do, but I'm saying like it does directly reference events from that film.
It's just
But
interesting that it's interesting that this kind of creates this, not really a problem, but this caveat when you have all these different working pieces. Like I don't think there's ever been a franchise, a cinematic franchise that does what the Marvel Cinematic Universe is doing.
No, not at
all
all.
These characters with their own standalone films, and they all inhabit the same universe and work with each other.
Mhm.
So I think that's really cool. But again, it creates that kind of issue where it's like, well,
Oversaturation.
oversaturation, and chronologically, unless you know exactly how they're supposed to go, it becomes kind of a mess when you're trying to figure out what order the movies are supposed to go in.
Well,
You have to know what year they came out.
Going back to the Iron Man trilogy, Iron Man was the first cinematic universe movie, then Incredible Hulk, then Iron Man 2. So the first 2 Iron Man movies they don't really tie into anything as far as they just
right.
set up Iron Man and stuff. So like those are a double feature 1 and 2. 3 does sort of require you to see Avengers. Not you don't have to, but you can. It would probably help.
It certainly would help to know why
Yeah.
Iron Man is acting the way he is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I think with Iron Man specifically, I just feel like maybe that has something to do with it, where 1 and 2 came out before, Thor and Captain America and the Avengers, and like that was really where they were starting to get their feet on the ground with this.
Right, and what's funny is they called Iron Man, and then Iron Man 2, Iron Man 2, and then Iron Man 3, Iron Man 3. With Captain America, it's Captain America the First Avenger, then Captain America the Winter Soldier. Or now Thor they just called Thor, but then the second one was Thor the Dark World. So now they're into the whole subtitle phase of
the Iron Man movies are the only ones that have numbered sequels.
Does Avengers 2 have a 2 in it, or is it just Avengers Age of
I
Ultron?
think this is Age of Ultron. That might be different in a different country, but for us it's just Avengers. So, so then the third Avengers will be
which is going to be split, into two parts.
That'll be into 2 movies. So it'll be Avenger. What is the subtitle? It's like
Infinity Wars.
Right. Infinity.
Fuck you, Civil War. This is an Infinity War now.
Spoilers.
And, what?
Spoilers is what he said.
It's technically a spoiler because they've been setting up the Infinity Gems and the Gauntlet and all that, but like from the first Avengers movie, when they have that tease of Thanos at the end, eventually they're going to fight Thanos. Like that's not a surprise to anyone at this point. The question now is when.
The question is,
I think it's been answered.
Who are they going to fight after Thanos is gone?
Yeah, I think after Thanos, my idea is, I get what you're saying. Like who's badass? Who's more badass than Thanos? I guess Galactus maybe, but I don't even know if they own
from X-Men.
Apocalypse from X-Men, right? Doomsday from DC.
I have no idea. That's DC.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying.
That'll be. I don't know. I'm curious now too.
They could end up doing what Patton Oswalt suggested on Parks and Recreation. They could bring in Star Wars characters, for them to fight the Marvel characters, and
Oh, it was beyond that though. He also said they should bring in Clash of the Titans characters and like, Greek mythology and shit. And X-Men too, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about X-Men Doomsday. That'll be
X-Men Apocalypse.
Apocalypse. Sorry, Apocalypse.
X-Men are gonna fight Superman's villain.
Because I super did not like Days of Future Past.
Yeah, we've talked about this a lot. I did like Days of Future Past. I thought it was fun.
I was disappointed by the movie, but I didn't think it was bad.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was continuity-wise a total disaster. So I no longer trust Bryan Singer.
Oh no!
I just don't trust him anymore. So
well, again, like Days of Future Past wasn't the fucking be-all, end-all of X-Men movies or anything like that. And it really, when you talk about continuity, that was like the last thing on my mind with that movie.
To me, that was the big thing on my mind was how are they going to fit? How are they going to merge these two continuities together, the origin story and the original trilogy, and also how are they going to make sense of what happened in X-Men: The Last Stand?
They don't.
Yeah,
they kind of don't, but they.
And Bryan Singer.
What?
Bryan Singer promised that he would be like this Days of Future Past would rectify the continuity of all the rest of the series. It would tie everything together, and it didn't do a goddamn thing in that sense.
Now, the way I look at it, I guess, as far as the continuity goes, is that Bryan Singer made the first 2.
Yep.
Nobody gives a shit about 3. I know First Class has its fans. Hawk, I know you're one of them. I'm not the biggest fan of First Class. First Class to me, has problems to it. The only thing I really give a shit about in First Class is Fassbender, McAvoy, and Kevin Bacon.
Right.
Which is why I think they were great in Days of Future Past. I'm excited. I'm excited about Apocalypse. I'll say that. There's some casting
Apocalypse
decisions,
will not have it won't have Patrick Stewart or Ian McKellen.
and there's rumors that Hugh Jackman might leave.
Well,
He came out after this.
Yeah,
Really?
he might not be in the movie, but or if he is, he's going to be a small part. But he's always going to be Wolverine, I think.
Well, there's going to be a point where he can't do it anymore, and God knows what the fuck they're going to do then.
They'll just have to cast someone new.
Who would you guys cast as new Wolverine?
Dom Hall Gleason.
I don't know who that is.
That's a joke. I don't know.
Jake Busey as Wolverine.
There you go. What about
Probably someone stupid like Jamie Bell.
Yeah, really, or Sean William Scott.
Sean William Scott. Wolverine, the party animal.
Oh man, I don't know.
What about? Well, no, I was gonna say Dave Bautista, but
he's already Drax. He can't.
Yeah, but they don't exist in the same universe. X-Men's only.
Oh yeah, you're right. Okay, but that would be a weird Wolverine. He'd be more like Sabretooth because that's how.
Yeah, he'd be a good
his body is that.
He would be a good Sabretooth. That's right.
I don't know though. Liev Schreiber I thought was a good Sabretooth.
That movie
was.
In terms of acting ability, he was a good Sabretooth.
He wasn't Sabretooth in Origins Wolverine, was he?
Yeah, he was. That was the one movie where he was Sabretooth.
He wasn't Who's Sabretooth in the first X-Men?
That wrestler actor guy.
Okay, yeah, okay. They are. You're right.
Do you remember? Joe Dirt, the first Joe Dirt movie?
Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do you remember when Joe is working on an oil rig and he gets into a fight with a big guy?
Yes.
It's that guy?
It's that guy, yeah.
When's the last time you guys watched the first X-Men movie from 2000?
Oh, fuck. I think my Google Play account, they gave me the first X-Men movie when I joined. So technically I could watch it now, but it feels weird going back to that movie because that's like where all the superhero shit really started kicking into gear.
A lot of people will make the argument that I think Blade came out in 1999, but who
Blade technically, but I think Blade's almost like its own thing. It's almost like apart from the comics. People think Wesley Snipes more than they think Marvel with regards to that.
Yeah.
But X-Men was the thing, because that's a comic book. And I don't know, like looking back on it, I mean, if you compare Wolverine, Hugh Jackman, back then to now, he looked like a wimp. He had like no muscle mass. He looked like me.
He was really young in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was really young. Yeah.
Did you guys know? I don't know if he was uncredited or not, but Joss Whedon did some work on that script.
Joss Whedon does work on every script.
Yeah. Well, there's a few. Actually, Joss Whedon is responsible for the line, whatever Storm says when she kills Toad.
Do you know what happens to a toad when it gets struck by lightning?
Joss Whedon.
Same thing that happens.
Yeah, Joss Whedon wrote that line.
Well, he wrote the original line, then it got changed. So he wrote the punchline was "it croaks," and then that line was changed to the line. Maybe it was the other way around. The line, of course, was changed to the same thing that happens to everything else. And I can't remember which one he wrote, but they're both pretty bad.
They're both hysterical, and that's the thing is like if you go back and watch that first X-Men movie. There are some scenes in it that are badass, but there's a lot of stuff in it that's really cheesy and goofy and dated.
Sure, but it kind of stands as this and it's weird to say, but it's almost like nostalgic looking back on it. You know, it's weird to say.
It totally is.
Even though it's only been 15 years, it's like looking back on it, like, remember when we were that naive with superhero movies, you know? And when we could just take any property and release it, no problem. Wow. Now we have a franchise plan, a business plan in mind, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe or something. You know?
I would say that for these big universe superhero stories, that's fine. But when you're just talking about regular movies, that's not a good idea. We're going to put this one movie out. If this does well, we're going to make all these sequels. If it doesn't do well, we're fucked.
I don't know, but I think that the brand at this point is powerful enough that there's no way it's not going to do well. Like, even Ant-Man will be a modest success, I think. Although when I saw the trailer this morning for the Avengers 3, I realized that there has not yet been a second trailer or any promos for the Ant-Man, and that releases in May? No, not May. It's
later May.
June, July,
June, like because Avengers is May.
It's pretty close afterwards. The Ant-Man's coming out like right after Avengers 2 does, which
is weird.
Ant-Man Ant-Man's really weird to me because it seems like the only reason it exists is because for it.
That almost tells me that Marvel is not super enthused about Ant-Man because one of the rumors about Jupiter Ascending getting pushed out is that Warner Bros. Wanted to spread out their fiscal quarters a little bit, and by putting the movie into each fiscal quarter and have turnover on their profit, throughout the year, not just all up into one quarter. So if Ant-Man isn't getting moved into its own time frame so that it can make lots of money, Marvel must not be expecting to make a great amount of cash. That's would be my theory.
Okay.
As far as Ant-Man being pushed to the screen, the simple answer for that is just that Ant-Man was one of the original Avengers. He's been a staple of the Avengers since the 60s when they were created. But do they need him for these movies?
He presents an interesting premise, in that he's a character that can shrink himself. So we got a lot of interesting photography that can go along with that, and settings.
I don't trust Peyton Reed to deliver that, though.
Well, that's the thing is, when Edgar Wright was in charge of this project, I was really looking forward to it. I was like, the amount of creativity you could unleash with this project and this director, it's fucking dumbfounding. And now it's Mr. and whoever the guy is directing, I Love You Man,
yes,
or whatever.
Man.
Peyton yes, Reed, who did Yes Man, and it's written by, or at least it's credited to Paul Rudd and Adam McKay.
And no Edgar Wright, because he's been working on that script. What, did they just throw that script away?
I guess. They really had to churn something out. Yeah.
Well, that was part of why he left, because Marvel had a lot they wanted to fix in the script they didn't like that Edgar Wright was doing. So I don't know. I just want to see Marvel do something with the Punisher.
I think the Punisher is a good property for them to try out on Netflix.
I would agree. I think we'll see what happens with Daredevil and Luke Cage. Luke Cage, I understand, is going to be really messed up, based on what I've read. The guy from the Halo short films is going to be in it.
Oh, really? Okay.
The big tough guy, he's going to be Luke Cage. But the Daredevil series, I'm really looking forward to because I enjoy it. I know some people didn't like the first movie, but
I liked the first movie too.
I kind of like the first movie, but more than that, I like the character of Daredevil. He always spoke to me.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to see him done right. And
when I was a kid, people would always ask me, why do you like Daredevil so much? I'd be like, he's more Batman than Batman is.
He's a blind guy. He's
a blind guy that sees with sonar. He's a fucking bat. He should be called Batman.
He's basically the Zatoichi, but without a sword.
I did not like the original Daredevil film even a little bit. I thought it was horrible, and then I saw the director's cut, and I really liked it.
Still haven't seen it.
I couldn't believe the director's cut is really good.
I've seen bits of the director's cut. There's some good stuff they cut out of it. Yeah.
Actually, really quick. I don't think I'm going to write a review for this, but I watched the live-action Spawn movie last week when the Pubcast fell through. It was the director's cut. The live-action Spawn movie is the first time I had ever heard of a director's cut because I went to the video store and they had Spawn, and then right next to it on the shelf at Blockbuster they had Spawn director's cut, and I was like, oh, what's this? This is the R-rated one, and there's really not
weird.
It's really weird. It's also pretty entertaining, oddly enough.
Yeah.
I had a fucking blast with it. I really had fun with it.
Yeah, I mean, some of those director's cuts are fun, but I guess when the director's cut for Daredevil was better because it was more violent. Like they didn't cut out any of the violence, and they add a whole new subplot.
Did they cut out that seesaw scene?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. I think that was still in there.
That was like the worst part of the movie.
The teeter-totter romance fight. Yeah.
And didn't they get the choreographer from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon to do that shit?
Yeah, I think so.
And it still looks like garbage.
That's how you know you've got a bad director. I mean, it's the same guy that did that did Ghost Rider.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which reminds me, I'm gonna give Ghost Rider 2 another chance.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm changing my mind on Ghost Rider 2. Yeah.
You should check out the first Ghost Rider first. And
I've seen the first Ghost Rider. I know how bad.
I don't like the first one very much.
I was going to the movies, and my friends were like, "Yeah, let's go see Ghost Rider." This was in 2007, and my alternate option was not very better. I was like, "Let's go see Norbit." And we ended up seeing Ghost Rider, and I can look back on that now and be like, all right, that was it was an easier bullet to take.
You dodged a bullet.
I don't know that I dodged a bullet, but it was an easier bullet to take.
Oh, okay. You maybe took one in the shoulder.
Yeah, because I've seen Norbit. Now I've seen Norbit, and holy fucking shit, is that it's Norbit.
Yeah. It's Norbit.
Yeah.
I didn't like the first Ghost Rider. I remember when I was dating, my girlfriend had already seen it once, and now she wanted to see the second time with me. She's like, "This movie kicks ass." And
what?
Nothing about this movie kicks ass.
Where did you meet this chick?
What?
Where did you meet this girl? Where did you meet this girl?
School.
Okay.
Well, obviously it didn't work out.
Ghost Rider. Yeah, I will say, what is it called? Spirit of Vengeance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it even called Ghost Rider 2, or is it just Ghost Rider : Spirit of Vengeance?
Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance.
Yeah. Speaking on these.
So I had always been on board with Spirit of Vengeance because the Crank movies are awesome.
Yes, they are.
Yes.
Crank 2. Oh my God! I know where and when I was the first time I saw Crank 2.
Okay, let's hear it.
It's not, there's nothing. Basically, like, just Crank 2 was so awesome that I'm never gonna forget it.
It was a memorable experience.
The part that sold me on it is when they start fighting in those paper mache costumes. I was like, this is it. You've sold me completely.
It was like the Godzilla movies.
Yes, I was. That is just fantastic.
So crazy. Like when they first were going through the promotional stuff for Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance, like it was at Comic-Con. And the trailer said, "Fucking your shit up in 3D," and then there's a shot of him like pissing fire. So the tonal shift is so strange. But while watching Spirit of Vengeance, I was the character is it works so well with their style.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
so yeah,
I will say this: I don't know shit about Ghost Rider in the comics. Nicolas Cage works well with their style. I mean, unless Ghost Rider is just a fucking insane person.
I don't know. I've never read the Ghost Rider comics.
I just know. The only thing I know about Ghost Rider is that he's supposed to be scary.
Yeah.
He hasn't been scary since I was 3.
So yeah, I don't know. It's I like the movie. That's one of my guilty pleasures. Is Ghost Rider 2. It's certainly not very good, but it sure is fun. And a lot of that again has to do with Nicolas Cage's performance, because he's as fucking weird as ever.
What did they call it? What did he call it? Shaman acting, or?
Yeah, he had this. He wore this this makeup as Ghost Rider to like.
And he had like
for the fire.
He had like LED lights around his neck or something, or green fluorescent bulbs or some shit. Yeah.
And he said that is like he absorbed the power of like this ancient acting ritual, and he would go out onto the set and all the other actors could just feel the aura coming out. It was so weird.
Where was this during Left Behind, asshole?
Well, I don't think he was supposed to, in Left Behind, play a character that was crazy.
He should have.
He was supposed to be playing like a... He should have, but I don't think that's how it was written.
He probably tried, and the director shut him down on it. He's like, no, this is a Christian movie. You need to fucking behave.
Yeah. What was the name of the director of that Left Behind movie? Vic Savage?
Vic Armstrong.
Vic Armstrong. I don't know where I got Vic Savage from. But Vic Armstrong.
Both names sound like professional wrestlers.
Yes.
Don't you meet my son, Vic Savage?
Vic Armstrong. I can imagine him like somehow reeling in Nicolas Cage. Like Nicolas Cage to me is this force that can't be reckoned with, who has a fucking Oscar, and Vic Armstrong is gonna reel him in.
Somehow he did it.
He
reeled him in too fucking much.
Nicolas Cage is just so much fun to watch. You remember Trespass?
Yeah.
Did you see that? Trespass, no.
Joel Schumacher.
He calls somebody an ass fuck.
Dude, I love Joel Schumacher.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll have to check that out.
You can tell the guy tries really hard.
When me and Joel Schumacher get together, it's just like old times. I just recently saw DC Cab with Mr. T and Bill Maher's in it. Adam Baldwin, who is not one of the Baldwin brothers. It's a little confusing. And Gary Busey's in it. It's a lot of fun. It's a good movie.
Do you remember Phone Booth?
I have never seen Phone Booth. Did he direct that?
Yes, actually, I like Phone Booth a lot. I'm a big fan of claustrophobic thrillers, though.
Okay, I'm a huge fan of Falling Down. I think Falling Down
is really good.
That's pretty great. Yeah,
that's probably Joel Schumacher's masterpiece.
Do you like Phantom of the Opera? He directed that.
No, I have never seen it though.
With Gerard Butler as the Phantom.
Is Colm Wilkinson in that?
Who?
Colm Wilkinson, the Broadway actor?
No, I don't think so.
He sings like this
who that is.
all the time. I think he was in the original stage production of Phantom.
He might be like one of the old characters or something, as they're like, wink nudge to the fans. But
he was in Les Mis for the same reason.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know who you're talking about, but
he's a Broadway singer. He's one of those Broadway singers.
How do you know him? Is what I want to know.
A, I like musicals.
Okay. Yeah.
And B, like I said, he was in Les Mis.
Okay. All right.
Les Mis has some really funny parts.
Yes, it does.
Oh, like Russell Crowe, period.
No, Russell Crowe, period, but also Hugh Jackman in a few scenes is pretty funny.
Yep. So they showed it in the Oscars. The scene where he I don't remember what the song was, but he holds the note, and the camera swoops out of the building, and he's still holding the note, and he's holding the note so hard that his eye he's running out of air, and his eyes are all bloodshot all of a sudden. And we're laughing at it because you look like he's gonna turn into a demon and just fly away out of this cemetery because such an epic note that he's holding, and it's so funny how you can see his face change.
My favorite part about
all
that
the oxygen is draining out.
Right after that sequence ends, it's 20 years later, and I'm like, oh, nothing of significance happened in that 20 years?
I guess
the other funny scene is when Russell Crowe kills himself.
Oh my God, Russell Crowe is just hilarious in that movie.
You gotta Google this scene, Bill, because he makes it sounds horrible, but he makes the funniest sound when he jumps off a bridge. And there's this combination.
He does. You're right. Oh my God, I forgot about that. It's so funny.
It's this cartoony, and it's like a flat slash
it totally
crack.
does do that.
it's the most hammy can sound effect I've ever heard. It's hilarious.
And I'm Javert.
And you know that GIF where Javert is like poking his head around like in the doorway. On Reddit, there's an entire community devoted to like putting those GIFs in other places, and it's so weird. I don't know, like there are these little things in that movie that are really funny. It's just so over-directed and so overblown. I don't know. That movie's something else. It's very good. It's mostly very well made, but there are like little things here and there that are just really funny.
Yeah. And I will say this, the awkward moments really help to pad out the 2.5, 3 hour runtime that it has. Because if there weren't so many quirky movies or moments in that, I would have gotten so bored.
Yeah. But it's still good. It's still worth a watch, but especially for those little scenes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, God.
What was that line you sang, Bill Leon?
And I'm Javert!
He totally sings that.
Yeah, he sings everything.
This is like Russell Crowe. I don't know. I hope Russell Crowe keeps making movies.
And music.
Well, not these kinds of movies necessarily, but roles where he's allowed to be completely crazy. Like, I feel like we have another Nicolas Cage around the corner here.
I will say this. He came pretty close in Noah.
Yeah.
I really liked Noah, though. We've had this discussion at length.
I know, and it's not that I didn't like Noah. I just feel like when he wants to kill his adopted daughter, he wants to kill his adopted daughter.
He gets into this. Role. He gets into all of his roles, but still, the crown jewel is still Winter's Tale.
Oh my God.
The funniest part, like I remember, like when I saw this movie, Winter's Tale, there's a couple like in their 60s, like 3 rows up behind me, and they were laughing as hard as I was.
Really,
it was
amazing.
Really awesome.
That's awesome.
Well, because the part they were almost laughing more than I was. One of my favorite lines in that movie is when they're talking about the bounty put on the main character, Peter Lake, I think is what his name was, and it's like they're talking about the horse, and it's like, sir, why are you putting such a high bounty on the horse? And Russell Crowe's like, it's because it's not a horse, it's a dog, and they like look at each other for a couple seconds, and then that's the end of that conversation. And
the horse jumps over a 7-foot-tall gate, and it was at this point that I was like, I'm done. I have nothing to offer. Like, no amount of jokes I can throw at this movie is going to make me feel any better because its logic is just so ass backwards.
It was so weird. And then, like we said, earlier tonight, Will Smith is in it. He plays Satan. And
that is one of the best cameos of 2014.
It's so good. And isn't he wearing like a Bob Marley T-shirt too?
Hendrix, I think.
Jimi Hendrix, yeah.
Yeah.
In like the 19th century.
Winter's Tale is something else. I don't think it's as good as The Identical, but that's just me.
I don't know.
It's hard to say. It is hard to say.
That's a toss-up, right?
The fact that, for me, it's the music and the fact that I'm so into music, and I've seen a shit ton of biopics, and like The Identical just spoke to like every facet of that within me.
The Identical killed me when I did that live tweet with Hawk. That I couldn't believe what I honestly didn't think it was going to be as bad as you guys were saying it was, or as funny.
Right.
But it really was.
It's great.
It's a great film.
Ray Liotta comes up to his 26-year-old son and is like, "You were out drinking, weren't you?" Like,
the guy's old enough to think.
Years old.
I think one of the funniest parts of that one for me was when they have a shot of a producer and he's like has a stack of money that he's made off of the kid.
Yeah.
And he like pisses it and throws it into the air. Like a pack of cards. Just chucks it in the air with one hand.
Make it rain.
The movie might still be on YouTube. I really doubt whoever owns it gives that much of a shit. But you can find it relatively easy. Check out The Identical. It is a so bad it's good movie. Ooh, so
I've been trying to think of what.
I was gonna say, what have you guys been watching? Have you guys been keeping up with anything? Did you guys see the end of Parks and Recreation last week?
No.
No, but I did catch the series premieres for both The Last Man on Earth and for Battle Creek.
Now, Last Man on Earth, the guy that directed all the episodes of Key and Peele, he's a great director. And I don't know if he's going to be directing all of Last Man on Earth, but he did do the pilot, so that's something that's been on my to-do list.
No, the Last Man on Earth pilot was Phil Lord and Chris Miller.
Oh, okay. Well,
directed the Lego Movie.
Peter Atencio's directing something for that show.
He's directing most of the episodes, but Lord and Miller did the pilot, and this show was really good. I thought it was extremely funny. But it's it's a little bit different, kind of on the formula of the apocalypse, because I don't know, it's comedic, but for the entire first episode, it's only him, so it's a lot of just Will Forte messing around, like he goes bowling using, stacked aquariums, where, eventually he's watching Castaway, he's like, that's stupid, no one would talk to a volleyball, and like 3 scenes later, when he's kind of gone a little insane or being alone, he's in the bar. He's like, I'm gonna have some whiskey. Like, you want one? And he's like talking to all these balls that have faces on them, like volleyball, a football, a golf ball, a ping pong ball, and then he before he goes to bed at night, he's like talking to God. He's like, yeah, sorry, I've been masturbating so much, but that one's kind of on you, and stuff like that. And he's stolen all these national treasures, like the White House, the carpet in the Oval Office. It's like priceless works of art. Just all in this mansion that he is living in now. He's got like a 20-foot tall Jenga tower in the foyer. It's like little things like that. And then in the end of the first episode, he meets the first other human, and it's Kristen Schaal playing her, and their chemistry is really good. So I'm excited to see how this show will go, because it feels like more of it's lighthearted, and it's very character driven too. So I think the big crux of the first season will be these two interacting.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna have to check on Hulu and see if that's up there, because this is something I do want to check out.
Yeah.
When is the first time you?
What
are you saying? Go ahead.
The other things too, like since there's no working water anymore, he just pours water or beer into the top of the toilet tank so it'll flush. And eventually he gets tired of that, so he comes up with a toilet pool. So just the pool out back, he just cuts a hole in the diving board and sits on that. And takes a shit there.
That's fun.
Do you guys remember the first time you ever saw Will Forte in something?
For me, it was SNL.
Yeah, me too.
For me, it was the Tim and Eric Awesome Show sketch, Lazy Horse Mattress. Do you guys know this sketch?
Yeah.
Will Forte's like a mattress salesman, and then he lays down on the mattress and goes to sleep, and then it goes inside of his mind, and it's like, murder me! Where's my son?
Rips off somebody's arm.
It's so goddamn funny. He has like blood coming out of his mouth. His eyes are about to pop out of his head. So that was the first time I ever saw Will Forte, and they tried to make Will Forte into a leading man with MacGruber.
Yeah.
The only thing I remember from MacGruber is that there was a string of wrestling cameos.
Yeah, there was.
It was like Big Show, and then Chris Jericho, and then someone else, and I was like, hey, those are all wrestlers. And then
Mark Henry, yeah. They all blew up.
The only thing I remember from that movie was Fat Val Kilmer playing a villain named
yeah, I totally forgot he was in that.
My favorite bit with Val Kilmer in that movie was near the end, where he's got MacGruber and he's letting him know what his plans are, and he tells MacGruber, oh, and by the way, thanks for that double decker you left me. And he punches him in the face. The double decker was where he took a crap in
the toilet.
Upper decker, right? Okay.
Oops in the toilet septic tank.
And then he's like, "This is my plan to frame you for blowing up the Washington D.C." And he takes out a manifesto that he wrote. It was MacGruber's manifesto that says "Fuck you, America." Drops on the floor.
That's a good movie. I need to watch that again. I should track that down. Yeah. I don't think it's on Netflix.
I don't know if I've ever actually watched the whole thing. I guess I'll have to.
You really should. It's pretty funny.
I like that they went with for the full R rating.
Ooh.
Too, because that doesn't usually work out.
Another time they tried to launch Will Forte into stardom was with the Brothers Solomon. Did you guys ever see the Brothers Solomon?
I never saw that movie, but I
that one was a.
I pass it up a lot of times on the DVD rack. Yeah.
I didn't like it, but it was better than some people would have you think.
I can agree with that. For me, I knew that Bob Odenkirk was the director. Even before the movie came out, I was looking forward to it as a Bob Odenkirk movie, and then I watched it and I was like, this isn't funny. Like, I don't know how the fuck you can have Bob Odenkirk, Will Arnett, and Will Forte on a set and not come up with something funny. But you fucking.
Will Arnett has had a string of failures, unfortunately.
Well, actually, I want to talk about BoJack Horseman because I just I'm late to the party, I know, but I just finished up the first season of that.
And that is very good.
I liked he is fantastic as BoJack. And I would say all the main cast, their voice acting. You get to hear Paul F. Tompkins go off and do like so many different voices, and he's always great at that. But
it's
really.
A good show.
I liked it, yeah.
One thing that works really well is that the show begins in like the first 3 episodes or so, 4 episodes. It's like it's a really crazy, like crude comedy, and then as the show goes on, they really develop BoJack's character, and he starts to realize how much of an asshole he is. And like the last 2 episodes are actually really kind of sad.
Yeah, they are.
So I like that they went there. It's not just some knockoff. It's not just some throwaway comedy. They actually really invest themselves in BoJack's characters, so I'm really excited for season 2.
I agree. My thing is that I was really surprised at the amount of continuity they were able to work in. I wasn't expecting it to be such a continuity-heavy series because like what were you saying?
Oh, I was gonna say some of the comedy is kind of dumb. Like there's a lot of animal puns. Like there's a character director named Quentin Tarantulino, and he's a tarantula. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of dumb. But one of the best running jokes is that BoJack drunkenly steals the D off the Hollywood sign for Denise to impress her.
Diane.
And for the rest of the show, Diane, yeah. For the rest of the show, you never hear the word Hollywood again. You hear Hollywoo.
Yes.
Because that's what the world just went with, was calling their place Hollywoo instead of Hollywood.
That reminds me of have you guys ever watched The Tick?
Yeah.
The cartoon, not the live-action series, although they're both good. The cartoon Tick, in the second episode, the supervillain Chairface Chippendale, who has a chair for a head, he, as a birthday present to himself, he's going to laser his name into the moon, and he only gets to CH and then half of the A, but for the rest of that series, you can see CHA on the moon throughout, the whole Tick series.
So the other show I watched this weekend was Battle Creek, which is, of course, from the creator of Breaking Bad, Vince Gilligan, and the creator of House, Drew Shore. What?
I forgot. We have to talk about something else, but continue.
It was okay. I guess I say it was good, but it is not Breaking Bad good. It's not House good.
Right.
It feels like it definitely has that House vibe of like lots of snappy dialogue and it moves pretty quickly, and the chemistry of the characters is good, but it doesn't really suck me in. I'm not like, at the end of the episode I wasn't like, oh my god, what's going to happen next? I got to continue with the story. It's a cop procedural with a crime of the week and 2 partners that need to get along. So, it's good, but it's certainly not something that's good on the level of the pedigree that these 2 guys are bringing to the table.
Mm-hmm.
That's my 2 cents on that really quick.
What's the title of it?
And it's on CBS.
What's the title of the show?
Battle Creek.
Okay. I haven't even heard of it, but I don't watch TV that often, so.
It's got Josh Duhamel and the guy who plays Mayhem in the Allstate commercials.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
He was in John Wick.
I almost forgot. We kind of got to talk about Leonard Nimoy, guys.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
The director of Three Men and a Baby is dead.
Yeah.
I forgot that he did that.
Yeah, he did that. That was just me reminding you that he did that.
Right. I mean, well, he also did Star Trek 3 and Star Trek 4. I mean, those are a little better than Three Men and a Baby, I think. But
I actually, a lot of people shit on Star Trek 3. I really like it.
I got no problem with Star Trek 3. It's
Chris Lloyd as a Klingon, perfect casting.
I have had enough of you. But yeah, when I found out about Leonard Nimoy dying when I was picking my brother up from school, and he gets on his phone and he's like, "Oh, Leonard Nimoy just passed away," and I was like, "Oh man." Yeah.
For me personally, as someone who did not get into Star Trek until a few years ago, I will always remember Leonard Nimoy for his appearances on The Simpsons and Futurama.
Yeah.
Specifically, the Futurama episode where they reunite the whole Star Trek crew.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, that was great stuff. Melbar and the Collector, and I actually just recently rewatched that. And if you know Star Trek, which I didn't when I first saw it, there are so many goddamn Star Trek references in that episode, as there should be, but it gets a little overwhelming. Leonard Nimoy on The Simpsons, that was a funny motherfucker. He pops up in the monorail episode for like no reason at all, and then at the end he's like, "My work here is done."
And they're like, "But you didn't do anything." And he's like,
"Yeah."
He's like, "Didn't I?" The cosmic ballet goes on, and then the guy next to him's like, "Does anybody want to trade seats?"
Yeah, and he's in the pilot of Futurama. He'll always be just a head in a jar.
Oh yeah. He talks about like, "Oh, I don't do the Vulcan thing anymore." But we all are just floating heads around here, just sharing wisdom with those who want it. And then the guy's like, "Okay, feeding time." And then he's pouring the fish food in there, and he's like eating it like a little fish.
The sound effects to that are amazing. They're like,
right.
Dude did some good work in comedy.
Yeah, like Star Trek Into Darkness. That was
a
great comedic performance.
That was a great comedic performance. Actually, let's talk about him in Trek 09. What'd you guys think about his cameo in 09 Trek?
That was a good choice of a cameo right there.
I'm really a fan of Star Trek, but yeah, it was okay.
Yeah.
He
was not needed in Into Darkness, though. He was not needed in that.
No, not at all. And that was one of my main complaints about that movie. I didn't get into Star Trek until after the 2009 movie. Well after, not when the movie came out. But watching the movie, like, based on what they were going for, the fact that they wanted to establish that their Trek was an alternate timeline and bringing in old Spock, like, it did kind of make sense. And him, Nimoy, and Zachary Quinto, they had a great little scene together.
Oh yeah, definitely. Then they ruined it in Into Darkness, where he calls himself.
Yeah,
he's like,
that was.
Hey, old Spock, is Khan a bad guy?
Khan is the most dangerous villain we've ever faced, and it's like that made no sense to me whatsoever.
We don't need this scene. They probably didn't even film. They probably just filmed Leonard Nimoy in his office, in his home office.
You've got ears lying around somewhere. Put them on.
Okay.
But
in all seriousness, if you followed him on Twitter, he seemed like the nicest man.
Mm-hmm.
Like he would always post something about peace and get along with others today. Blah, blah, blah.
Even actually, this is something I just learned. I don't want to say it's based on his passing away, but somebody talking about his passing away revealed this information to me, which is that during the original run of the 60s Star Trek show, Leonard Nimoy actually fought for Nichelle Nichols to get equal pay.
Yeah.
Apparently she wasn't getting equal pay, and that's a bunch of bullshit. But even to think that even back then he was about that kind of shit, it's like that he's just a legit, genuine guy. Like,
yeah.
And Star Trek is Star Trek. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, I totally get it. On the other hand, though, you have Wrath of Khan, and Wrath of Khan, I don't think you need to give a shit about Star Trek. I don't think you need to care about science fiction. I think Wrath of Khan is just a really fun, angry sort of movie about these two rivals. And as far as Leonard Nimoy's Star Trek work, as far as like something I think someone that doesn't give a shit about Trek can get into, that is probably where I would point them.
Okay, I could see that. Yeah. I have successfully penetrated the interior of the V'ger orifice, Captain.
That's the first Star Trek movie.
That's the first. Yeah.
V'ger does look like a vagina.
Yeah. That was on purpose.
Yeah, I know, but it's weird to think they could even get away with that in 1978.
Well, yeah. They saved themselves by revealing it was Voyager. So,
ooh.
Yeah. It's like, it's not a vagina, it's Voyager.
Now, Leonard Nimoy also has some ties to the Transformers franchise.
Yes, he was... what was it, Sentinel Prime? Or
he voiced Galvatron in the animated movie.
Yeah, but he was in the Transformers Dark of the Moon.
Right, yes. And
Optimus, no! And then he just shoots him in the head. It's like, thank you, Michael Bay. Optimus Prime has no morals. He just shoots people dead.
And Leonard Nimoy likes paychecks. A lot of people in Dark of the Moon like paychecks. John Malkovich.
Exactly.
Oh, Transformers.
I gotta go back. I've only seen the animated Transformers film like once, a long time ago. Even if I tried to watch it now, though, I don't know if I could get super into it. I was never into Transformers growing up.
You got the touch.
The touch is probably that movie's greatest legacy. That and Optimus Prime dying.
Yeah, every time I think of that, I hear that song, I think of Mark Wahlberg.
Rightly so.
From Boogie Nights, yeah.
Yeah.
You're a star. You're a big, bright, shining star.
That scene of him singing that song is pretty funny, too.
I didn't get it in that context, because, like, in the context of that scene, he's recording an album, right?
Yeah.
Is it an album of cover songs?
I think yes. Yeah, I would say, because they're not implying that someone wrote the touch for him. He's doing a covers album.
Okay, that's what I figured. Yeah.
Which is, again, like, that's just another layer of like how washed up he is at that point in the movie.
Which is funny. Didn't Leonard Nimoy have a music career for a little while?
Oh, you're right. Have you guys ever heard? He has a song about Bilbo Baggins with a video.
Of course he does.
Have you guys ever heard of it?
No, I've seen the headlines of the video. I haven't actually seen the video though.
Oh my god, we're about to watch it.
Uh-oh.
I'm pulling up that app.
Are we?
For it. Leonard Nimoy, Hobbit song. This shit, I don't know who came up with this idea. I don't know where they shot this. I don't know how much LSD they had on standby when they filmed it. But it seems like they had a lot. There you go. Did it not hit play?
I don't think so. You might want to hit it again.
It might be lagging on me. Either way, this is trust me. If you guys watching don't know what we're talking about, Google Leonard Nimoy, Bilbo Baggins, or Leonard Nimoy Hobbit. It'll be the first video that comes up. It is.
It's not playing.
Oh, it's gonna work. Yeah.
It better fucking work.
No, it's not. I hit play. You hit play. Hawk hit play.
Maybe we're all pushing it too many times. I don't know.
Maybe it's buffering. I don't know.
I saw a little buffer symbol like for a second and then it disappeared.
Maybe that's how long the video is.
No. I wish. Now playing nothing. Cool, YouTube. I'm glad that Google paid for this service that they're clearly using to the fullest advantage.
I guarantee you, every time President Obama does a Google Hangout, he never faces these fuck-ups.
Nope.
They get that shit right.
They're on that.
They have top men fixing it whenever he needs it.
I'll have to look up the lyrics. The lyrics of the song are like, he lives in the hole in a hobbit shire, something, something, and I don't remember what the next rhyme is. I feel like he rhymes shire with mire, but then the chorus of the song is like,
what else rhymes with shire?
liar.
There's not much. Liar.
Fire.
Fire. There's
Fire.
Yeah, okay.
Fire. But the chorus of the song is like, Bilbo Baggins, the hobbit that we all love. It's really fucking cheesy. There's a reason. Like, basically, this is his Rocket Man, Will Shatner's Rocket Man.
Oh, right, yeah.
This is his embarrassing musical moment. And yeah, he did have a music career. Him and Shatner both had music careers for a brief period of time. And ironically, the fact that we were just speaking on Boogie Nights, Leonard Nimoy did a lot of covers.
Yeah.
Very recently, I heard him cover "Proud Mary" by Creedence Clearwater Revival, and he like, I guess he's like trying to add soul to it. It's like they sped the song down, and he's like, "Big wheel, keep on turning. Proud Mary, keep on burning." Like, he's trying to add this layer of soul on it that, I don't know, like, it's awkward, for sure.
So is that a good place?
Just watch this later. It's not going to do anything.
Yeah, it's not doing
Yeah,
anything.
it's probably a good place to end. This weekend is Chappie and Unfinished Business, and what else?
I did a trailer trash on Unfinished Business, but I don't think we're going to post it. Have you guys seen that trailer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any opinions on that?
No.
I'll see this
Not
movie because
really.
there's nothing else to see.
Really? You're just going to see
What?
this and Chappie by default?
Yes.
Wow.
Fair enough.
All right.
I'll say this. Vince Vaughn has been fucking up for a while, but he's totally capable of being funny in a movie. I don't...
Like in Psycho? He was hilarious in Psycho.
He was
This
hilarious.
is the director of The
in Psycho.
Delivery Man, so I am not optimistic.
Is that the one with Donald Faison and Mos Def?
No, that's the one. That's the one where he gave sperm to a sperm bank, and he ended up having all these kids.
Yeah.
What?
It was not very good.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still excited for Get Hard. I know a lot of people are not, but
Mm-hmm.
I think that's
I
gonna
thought
be
the
funny.
trailer was funny.
The new trailer is even funnier. So I don't know. The thing that when people say I don't know about Get Hard, I remind them that this is directed by the guy who wrote Idiocracy.
Ooh. Okay.
That you guys want to talk about that? I think Idiocracy is just a little bit underwhelming. I don't think that it's not good. I just think that some people see something in it that I don't see.
I see the world.
It's not a
in it.
masterpiece, but it's very funny.
No?
So I don't know. Like I don't expect Get Hard to be a masterpiece, but I think it'll have a lot of funny parts.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you on that, especially based on the trailer. I heard good things about The Wedding Ringer.
Who told you these good things?
Felix was talking it up a little bit. I heard good things.
She said it was perfectly fine.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, for a January comedy starring Kevin Hart, those are, that's a compliment.
Okay. Well.
Oh, I still got to see that. I don't think it looks great, but the scene when they're having dinner and the grandma catches on fire, that gets me every time in the trailer.
Yeah.
Like throwing water and stuff, and then Josh Gad's like, "It's just making it worse." And
Josh
so,
Gad. I like Josh Gad.
It's okay.
I don't know what
he's okay.
Yeah, the thing is like I don't know what he's doing with his career right now, but I like him. He very occasionally he'll write articles for USA Today, and I think he's a very outspoken person. I think he knows what he wants to say as far as that goes. And as far as him in movies, I thought he was hysterical in the Rainn Wilson movie The Rocker. He plays like his awkward nephew in that.
I didn't like that movie.
I do kind of like the movie, but I think Josh Gad is like one of the strongest things in it. Just if you've seen the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. He just has this very awkward way of delivering his lines in it, and like I really can't explain it. It's just something that has to be seen.
Yeah, good place to wrap up.
That's fine with me.
All right. You want to handle the wrap up?
Well, as Hawk said, we have Chappie coming out over the weekend, and we also, what's the other one that's coming out?
Unfinished
It's
Business.
Unfinished Business, and there's like a third one, but I don't know what it is.
I could find out. In fact, hold on. Give me 1 second. I'll tell you.
Nobody cares enough. Those are the two main ones.
Yeah.
I'm pulling up Flickster on my TV. Come
You got one
on.
of them smart TVs.
I do.
We just got one of those.
Cinderella. No, that's
Oh,
not
yeah.
it. That's the week.
That's next. That's
yeah,
next.
that's the week after. The second best exotic Marigold Hotel.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, no one cares. Yeah.
I didn't see
No.
a first exotic Marigold Hotel. I just used gold twice. Whatever. I don't want to watch your shitty romantic comedy movie. How about that?
That's an old people movie.
Is it?
Yeah.
What's that one that got a bunch of Oscars 2 years ago? August Osage County. Is this like that?
No.
Okay.
No.
This is like the Full Monty if the Full Monty was all old people.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it's a cast of old actors.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well, yeah, that's what we got is that Marigold Hotel, Unfinished Business, which we kind of started talking about that. Just to sort of wrap up with that, I think, I don't know what they're doing with these comedies nowadays, with like these big studio comedies. It's like there's no inspiration about it. There's no creativity about it. There's not anyone involved with them that wants to make something other than what they're required to turn into the studio.
Yeah.
That's kind of my fear with this movie. What's his name? Dave Franco. I think he's kind of making a name for himself a little bit gradually. This could be a huge step back for him.
Franco he's getting interviewed and saying that he did a lot of research for this movie because apparently his character has a high functioning autism. So he did a lot of research into that, into high functioning autism to characterize his character a little better. So I'm interested to see how he does that because he is a good actor.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah, I like him in the stuff I've seen him in. I think he's got a great knack for comedy, even more so than his brother, honestly.
I guess we'll find out next week.
Yeah. Are you guys both planning on seeing that one?
No, I'm just gonna see Chappie.
Okay.
I'll see it if I have time.
Right. Well, hopefully Ken Ekman will be, I think he's in the process of moving right now. Hopefully that'll be squared away and he'll be back with us next week. But if not, we'll troop on.
All right.
Yep, thanks for joining us, everybody, and have a good night.